Hey, well, everybody wave hello. Wave, 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 wave.
Hello.
Jordan, I think I'm going to start the music and let's get going here. So everybody listen up. Here we go. Can you hear that?
Where does yesterday's future, which is already here, meet today's future, which is about to happen, and tomorrow's future, which could be just minutes
Not
away?
wearing a watch.
Welcome to Technology Revolution, the future of now, where host Bonnie D. Graham asks savvy futurists for their predictions about the tech-driven trends that are shaping our future right now. Here's your host, who will take us into the future of now, Bonnie D. Graham.
Thank you to the voice who always gets me on the air. I'm Bonnie D. Happy to be here. Have I got a special show for you? We've got some visual. We got some people who love to ride. We're going to tell you about the future of motorcycles and AI. Get a little tech in there. I am delighted to welcome two of, I call them my regulars. Bob Ficken. Dr. Bob is back. Wave hello. Charles Breakfield. Charles, unmute. We want to have you say hello. And somebody I haven't seen in at least a couple of minutes. Lisa Dalesandro DiChristofer is back. I haven't seen you since the old SAP Game Changers Radio Day. We're so happy to have you. And a shout out to Tom Madonna, our mutual colleague and friend, for recommending you for this show. So let me get started with the opening here, and here we go. Welcome to Technology Revolution, the future of now, the future of motorcycles and AI. Easy riding? Let's explore how. With Bonnie D on her Scarlett Mic as your host, bestowed. Charles Breakfield, wave hello. Lisa, I've already said your name, wave hello. And Dr. Bob, hit the road. Will AI ride shotgun as innovation hits the pedal? Will smart tech rev up the ride beyond mere metal? Will riders stay safer as machines respond in place with intelligent systems guiding speed, control, and space? As their bikes and travels flash across the screen. Yes, we have a show today. So bold, you'll hear the stories and see the future they unfold. So tune in, lean in, hear the engines start to roar. Bob, I don't have any motorcycle music. Predicting AI transforming the ride like you've never heard before. Now I'm going to do a gift for each of you. Charles, you're first, and I hope you like this. Born into his dad's fighter pilot's life where duty shaped the day, young Charles moved base to base. Life always packed and on the way. From Germany to Texas, where cultures sharply blend, a rebel spirit rising, doing things his own way, round the bend. At UT, Charles chased knowledge wide, though majors he declined. Dean's List bright, yet nonconformist, marching to his own mind. From Accenture to telecom giants, his tech career took flight, then co-writing the Enigma techno-thriller novels Intrigue is his delight. At 17 in Germany with parts both odd and wild, Charles built a Frankencycle ride, no seat, yet freedom smiled. Today, from Harley roads to thriller tales where plots enthrall, he rides now in full throttle where AI transforms it all. How'd you like that?
That was spectacular. If I had a different word than spectacular, I'd use it, but that was uh, definitely impressive. Thank you, madam.
I'm very glad. I have to do a new one every time you're on the show. So this is about the 10th or 17th one. Thank you. Lisa is next. And Lisa, I hope you enjoy this. From Bronx, New York to Jersey roots where family ties run strong, in a Catholic Italian home where values shaped her all along. Lisa earned her BA and MBA at Rutgers with great pride, then built a career at SAP. 30 years strong this year. What a ride. From staff accountant early on to tech and sales, she grew an OG in ERP's rise when innovation was quite new. Lisa's traveled wide, 48 states, 18 countries to explore with fashion, food, and DIY. Her fun passions galore. A late bloom bike rider sparked by COVID. Let's give this a try. New Honda bikes in bold red hues have Lisa racing by. From Rebel Hawk to CTX, she rides with joy and esteem. Lisa joins us as a futurist today, powering AI's gleam. Lisa, I hope you enjoyed that.
That was beautiful. I love that. Thank you so much.
You're
That was
very
such
welcome.
grace.
I'm very welcome. And Bob, I had to do a new one for you. Here we go. From law enforcement ranks where duty called Bob to serve as a marshal, detective, deputy sheriff with courage and a steady nerve. Then back to school he rose, BA, master's, PhD in hand, now 28 years a professor, shaping leaders across the land. From Fortune 50 giants to startups finding their way, Dr. Bob guides AI adoption, helping businesses thrive today. A coach, consultant, thought leader, where ethics and innovation align, empowering growth through AI with a vision by design. At 12 on a Honda scooter, oops, into the bricks he steered. Then gold wing roads to Harley rides, nearly 400,000 miles revered. From Sturgis to Ride to the Wall, where honor and freedom ride, Dr. Bob joins us as a biker futurist, predicting how motorcycles and tech abide. Bob, how did we do?
Outstanding.
I'm glad. Okay, so let me finish here. Lisa, this is for you. Female riders are rising fast. Ownership's on the climb. Now, 1 in 5 are women, nearly doubled in our time. Younger voices lead the way, 35% in the 18 to 34 scene, with Gen X and millennials riding strong. Power, passion, and community keen. That's my research I did for Lisa and me. So now, with Bonnie D and her visionary futurist, the engines rev and hum as AI charts the course ahead for bold new rides to come. A roadmap rich with insight where tomorrow's tales unfold. On Technology Revolution, the streaming waves, tune in and behold. So kids, how'd I do? What'd you think? Good? Okay, thank you
Well
very
done.
much.
Well
I'm
done.
very, very glad. I wanted to honor the three of you. I was telling somebody about this show, somebody I work with on another project, and I said, they're all esteemed and experienced technology experts who happen to ride bikes. So I wanted to position, I didn't just get these people off the street. No, no, this is important. So let's go around the table and do a very brief addition to the introduction. Charles, I'm starting with you. I'm putting you on speaker view and just find out a little more about your biking history. I want to know a little more, and then we'll go to Lisa and then Bob, and then we'll do the slideshow. So welcome, Charles.
Thanks. So the big thing for me has always been load up the bike with the camping equipment and just travel around Texas. I've done a couple of spectacular rides, some that were fraught with danger. And the one where I got to Caddo, which is over on southwest, northeast Texas, it started raining, and it rained all the way down to Martin Dies, where I was going to camp next. I get there, I'm drenched. I'm having, I've been dodging cars on the water-soaked highway, and the first thing that greets me when I come in there is like, "Don't feed the alligators." I'm like, okay, wasn't planning on it. I don't. They're not my favorite pet, so I was going to, avoid them. So when I check in, they said, "Do you want to camp on the ground? Do you want a cabin?" I looked at them and said, "I want a cabin. What, alligators running around? Are you kidding me?" So we got dried out, and the rest of the show was fine. Probably the best one was out through to Big Bend, and it's a hard ride to get there to Big Bend, but it's spectacular out through the Alpine Mountains that they have out there in East Texas. That's where the McDonald Observatory is, and it's spectacular out there. And of course, you have to slug your way back across the sun-baked desert to get back to Dallas. But I've plotted several trips. They're usually about 1,100 miles round trip. But Dr. Bob, I have to say I'm somewhat envious of you and your ability to go to Sturgis. I've never made that's sort of like a journey to Mecca for anybody on two wheels.
We have some pictures of that coming up too.
Yeah, and I'd envious. It's probably a little bit more noise than what I'm used to. But always in the back of my mind for at some point, yeah, let's go do it.
Thank you, Charles. Happy to have you back on this new topic. I think I started with you and said, let's do this. And we got Bob, and here we are. Lisa, you're next. We'd love to hear a little more about you, about your writing career, about when you started and where you've been. Go ahead.
Great. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on this show with these esteemed guests. I feel like I'm the rookie here, but I'm catching up quickly. So I am probably your non-traditional rider. I'm much of a late bloomer, and I must admit, for the longest time, I was an anti-motorcycle person. If my son was on this show, he would call me a hypocrite because for the first 20 years of his life, I forbid him to do anything on two wheels. Second marriage, great husband, and we were at a wedding at a destination island and had some free time, and we rented a moped. And he started to look cajole about, I miss riding my motorcycle. It was so much fun. By the end of the 2 weeks, 2-day wedding event, I started to say that, this wasn't so bad. He's a good guy. Maybe we should get a bike. So we came back to the States and he bought a bike. After about 6 months of riding on the back, I said, you know what? I think I can do this. I want to try this on my own. It was right before COVID hit, and I had the good fortune to take a 2-day motorcycle safety class in New Jersey with the MSF course. And the two instructors, who were marvelous, got me up on a bike in 10 minutes, and I've never stopped. So that was in 2019. I'm happy to say I own more bikes now than my husband does. Haven't gotten to Sturgis or to Daytona Bike Week, but those are on my bucket list. And yeah, it is the thing I love the most to do in my free time.
That's for you, Lisa.
Encouraging women to ride
That's
more.
for you, the applause. Yes, go ahead.
The wind therapy has helped me in my tech career to get away from the crazy some days. And yeah, I never thought I would love something so much that I despised for so long. So old dog, new tricks, 2 wheels, and there's no stopping me now. I love it.
This is great. Thank you. Wonderful story. I hope you heard the applause. And let's go to Dr. Bob. Bob's a good friend of mine. And like Charles, he's been on so many shows. I actually have to keep writing new intros for him. Bob, let's hear a little bit. I think Charles wants you to talk about Sturgis. So why don't you do that, Bob?
I can do that. One of my trips to Sturgis, I actually had the best of both worlds because on the one hand, you got about 500,000 motorcycles gathered in Sturgis. You can be around almost as many of them as you want. But then on the way home, I traveled on my own and I went back through Yellowstone, across Montana, and then picked up the Snake River and took it all the way back down into southern Idaho and all that. And it was just gorgeous beyond words. So beautiful. And for anyone that doesn't ride, the best way I can explain it to you is if you're riding in a car and you're all sealed up and you're just trying to get to where you're going, compared to when we ride through anywhere, we can smell if the bread's baking. We can smell the trees. We can smell if someone's barbecuing. You're part of it instead of just passing through. And that's one of the things we like about it.
Very, very cool. And how long have you been riding, Bob? Since when?
Since I was 12. So
Since 12. Okay.
50
And as an
years.
adult, did you have bikes all the way through from teens? I think you're a little more than 12 right now.
When I was 12, I had a Honda 90 scooter.
Okay.
And of course, it was illegal for me to ride it. So whenever a police car came by, I had to look like I was pedaling it.
There you go. Well, I have to tell you,
to do my paper out and all that.
I was in Bermuda many years ago. I think it was on a honeymoon with my husband back a million years ago, and we rented 2 mopeds. We rode around the island, but I came back and never bought a bike. So I don't know, Lisa, maybe I just wasn't bitten by that bug at that time, but now it's a little bit late, but I appreciate all of you. This is lovely. So what I'd like to do now is let's see if we can get this to work. I'm going to share. I'm going to go to the screen if I can find it. I have it, and I'm going to play the PowerPoint slide deck. And somebody's name is here first. Do you see your name, sir, Mr. B?
I do. I do.
Okay, so I'd like you to narrate. I'm going to go one slide at a time. And who is this? Where is this?
This is a, you said this was going to be an AI show, so I said, okay, here, I'll take a headshot and let's use some AI magic and create a scene in front of a Harley dealership. And so I did.
No, this wasn't real. You son of a gun. Okay, this is real though. Tell it. What is that down in front? Who is that?
That's my security team, Shorth Fader. He's only about 4.5 feet tall. But he's as my dad would say, mean as cat poop and twice as nasty. Okay, all right. And that's he's parked next to my Road King, Harley,
Okay, very
named
nice.
Swan. That's her name,
Swan. Very
Swan.
nice. Very nice. Where is this?
This is outside of Katy, Texas. Apparently, there was a Chinese nationalist who settled in this country, and he wanted to bring a lot of the historical information, the scenes of his homeland in China that you could not see unless you'd been there. So he ordered in that these are all. He built this modest, I guess, museum outdoors with all of the different artifacts that he thought was important. And this is the emperor of the Terracotta Army that I'm standing next to.
Very,
Yeah.
very impressive. He's
So
a big,
if
big
you
guy.
if you go to the next picture that I
Yes.
sent you,
Yep.
there, those are all 2 feet tall statues that he's ordered in and placed, much like the original terracotta army that they found in the central China. Those are all 6 feet tall. These are just if you look real close, you'll notice they're all different. They are all different. There's
I see.
thousands of yeah.
I
So
see.
and then the one on the left is a scene miniaturized. In the camera, it looks like I got this far away view of this real city, and it's like it's also only about 5 feet tall. But the detail that he put into it to be able to bring the culture to the States, and in particular there in Texas, which is Katie's about an hour or two from west of Houston. So if that's what you're looking for, on I-10, it was there 10 years ago, so it's fantastic.
Thank you. Let's go to the next one. Who's this? What's this?
That's the Swan again on the left hand side, and that's the picture at Martin Dyes on the right, where I'm trying to dry out the bike because I've been driving all day the day before in the rain. So that's why everything looks like it's airing out to be able to get some of the water, even though everything was covered up. You still get a little bit of water seeping through stuff. I noticed that the rain gear that I was wearing, even though it's designed to keep the water out, what you end up with is most of it on the inside, so you're soaked. So you got to get dried out too. And of course, this is the famous place where they have their own collection of alligators. So you're always looking around, making sure that you're not going to step on somebody that's still alive.
Very cool. And thank you, Charles. Lisa, it's your turn. Let's hit the road with you. Okay, you're up. Who are these people?
So as I shared, my career writing started with this wonderful course that I took with the Motorcycle Safety Foundation in New Jersey. And this is actually the graduating class. And it's interesting. I didn't think about it until I looked at the photo. You can see how many women were in my class. The one to my left is my daughter-in-law. So we took the class together, families that ride together, stay together. So this was after the 2 days of our successful completion. We were kind of celebrating, but you can see in the background all the starter bikes that the instructors get you on. It was a classroom, but mostly field course training, which was amazing for getting someone who had never rode anything other than a bicycle or a horse onto a motorcycle with clutch control, braking at very low speeds at first. But it was an amazing experience. And I highly, highly recommend that anyone who's interested take the course. Invest the $200. It's well worth it. You'll learn if you have the skills to do it. More importantly, you'll learn if you don't, right? Their goal is to keep everybody on the road safe. So successful, happy faces. We had a great time, and I'm still riding. So that was 2019, right before
This is
COVID
a
hit.
joyful picture, Lisa.
Very
There's
joyful.
A lot of joy, a lot of happy people here. Let's go to the next. Whoa, what is this?
So the course teaches you the basics, but then you actually have to go apply them. So my husband and I decided it would be really good if I got a very simple starter bike. So Bob, I don't know if this was your Honda back in the day, but I ended up getting a Honda Hawk 450. And this was the maiden voyage. It had just arrived off the trailer. We brought it in from Texas. And my husband said, well, what are you waiting for? Go out for a ride. And I was looking at him like, by myself? He says, the only way you're going to learn. He says, there's nothing that can happen bad. We had relocated down to the Jersey Shore. It was during COVID, so it was really empty and quiet. So I had the entire island and I just started riding my bike up and down, starts and stops, making turns, learning how to brake, learning how not to stall. So that was the maiden voyage. Coming out of the driveway, which you can't see under that helmet, is the look of sheer horror on my face because I was, for that one moment, like, oh my God, I'm actually doing this. And then about 5 minutes later, I was like, this is great. I want to go faster. So,
And we're looking at a helmet there and gloves. What's on the right?
so my husband is a big safety advocate, and so am I. So, I don't encourage anybody to ride unless they have the proper gear. We have full face helmets, armored gear, protection on your legs and your feet and hands at all times. So that's just a snapshot of my gear.
Very cool. Let's go to the next one.
So as I said, I've progressed very quickly. This is my newest bike. So people get, most women want jewelry or candy or something else for Christmas. I got Vance and Hines pipes. I want my bike to be louder. I got auxiliary lights because I wanted to be able to see so nobody would kill me. And I ended up getting a new windshield on the front because the bike didn't come with a windshield. So this was our picture. We've just moved to Florida of the bike after Christmas with all the new gear put on. The bike to the left is my husband's. He's got a beautiful VTX. Killer color and chrome. And this is our weekend riding bikes.
That's lovely. And one more. What are these?
So as I said, it's not my only bike. So I also have a CTX 700 Cruiser. That's the one on the left. That was actually my second bike, which has a different stance. It's a little bit longer in the front. It's a little bit bigger fairing. So it took me a little bit longer to master that one, but it's a super comfortable ride for long distance traveling. So I kept that one as well, in addition to the Rebel, in addition to the Hawk. And on the right, you can see our full arsenal. And we also have a Goldwing. So for on the very few occasions where I don't want to ride by myself, my husband still likes to take me out and we go for coffee or go for a quick cocktail or lunch. So that is the DiChristofer fleet that we are maintaining here in St. Augustine, Florida. And we look forward to doing what Charles and Bob have, and when retirement comes, exploring and going for much longer weekend tours and exploration. So we've got a lot of things on the bucket list.
There you go. And by the way, neither one of them is retired as far as I can tell. So here it's thank you, Lisa. That was lovely. Dr. Bob, you're up. Who is this good looking guy? Tell us.
Well, on the left, if you're an Eagles fan, you'll recognize that. You'll remember that in Take It Easy, the second verse starts out standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona.
Yep.
So that's the Eagle statue that's there. Pretty cool to see in person. In the middle is actually my older bike. That's the Ultra that I had. I did a progression similar to what Lisa was talking about. I had a Honda 90, then I had a 450, 750, then ended up with my dad's Goldwing after he crashed it. And then in 2002, I bought my first Harley, an Ultra Classic. And then in 2022, I bought the bike I have now. I call her Betty Blue, and she's a 2022 Harley Davidson Road Glide Limited. And riding vest there on the right. So that's actually the dealership where I bought it from. I didn't get the name there, but that's Livermore Harley Davidson.
Very cool. And what is this where we're looking here? Is this our dealership?
Yeah, that's the new bike. Yep, that's Betty Blue. Bought her in Idaho.
Okay.
And a trip up there at Lone Wolf Harley Davidson. And computers, as I'm sure Lisa and Charles could tell you, have gotten so much more sophisticated. For example, between the Ultra Classic I bought in 2002 and the Limited that I bought in 2022, all the touring bikes by Harley now have ABS, anti-lock braking systems. They have onboard computers that include hill stop, where you just feather the clutch and stop, and you're good to go. It'll stay, it won't move. It has a upright riding computer that if one of the tires starts to lose traction, the computer works to keep the bike upright. So a lot of technology. In fact, some of the new Goldwings now have an airbag option. Riders can have an airbag installed.
Interesting. I'm going to go on. Oh, we all want to know what these are. Where is this, Bob?
This is outside Sturgis. You'll see Sitting Bull is in the upper right. That's to me, that was almost as breathtaking as Mount Rushmore. You see a little traffic problem there in the middle. That's when the bison decide to go for a walk. They win, so you just stop and twiddle your fingers until they're gone, because they own the road, not us. One solitary bison up in the upper left.
Yeah.
Some beautiful mountains and all that in the area as you go out through the Badlands there in the lower left. And then in the right is just a little bit of the fauna that goes along some of what used to be creeks that are now just dry.
Very nice. And I think we have one more, maybe two. What's that? Well, here we are. Talk to me.
This is downtown Sturgis, and it's actually usually more crowded than this.
Really?
Yeah, there's still some parking. And usually there's none. It's one of those things, like I said, you get about 500,000 motorcycles there. So, it can be tough. There's one of my favorite things when I go is to go to the concerts if they have anyone good playing. You go out to the Broken Spoke is downtown, and then there you got the campground just outside where you can go and listen to concerts and all that, whatever big music, Jackal or Steve Miller or whoever they bring in. Everyone has their own thing. I like to go with the crowds, like on the Mayor's Ride, which kicks off the event. It's about maybe 20 miles outside and comes back. So that's kind of fun. You go with everybody. It's nice to see that many bikes out on the road. But then I also like to do some of the solo stuff. So typically when I go up through the Badlands, go to Rushmore, things like that, I usually go on my own. I usually stay in Deadwood, the Deadwood Hotel in Deadwood, which is about 15, 20 miles away. And it's actually where Bill Hickok met his fate.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, with the Dead Man's Hand.
Oh, I have one more. I have one more. There's our Rushmore. What's on the left?
Yep. Yeah, Rushmore is pretty cool the first time you see it. Fifth time you see it, not so much. But
Okay.
But very cool to think about how that was done and what it took to create those faces. Just a shot of the mountains and stuff and some of the peaks over there in the middle. And then the old Bullock store there on the left, which is left over from Deadwood.
Thank
The
you
TV
very
show.
much. I want to thank all of you for sending me the wonderful pictures. I enjoyed putting together this slideshow. There's a delightful feature in PowerPoint that's called design option, and it created all of these wonderful frames and backgrounds, and I just played with the colors in the frames, and I thought you would all enjoy it. So thank you so much. I haven't done anything like that on this show, and I really appreciate it. I'm looking at the clock. We still have a lot of time left. So what I'd like to do now is somewhere along the way, I asked each of you for a fictional quote, and I'm going to read the quote in just a little bit, have you give me why you picked the quote and what it has to do with our topic today, and then we'll cover a couple predictions. So, Charles, I'm starting with your quote, and this is a classic, I believe. This is from Dr. Dave Bowman, played by Keir Delay. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. I saw him in a movie years before this one. 2001: A Space Odyssey, 1968 epic sci-fi film, produced and directed by Stanley Kubrick, who co-wrote the screenplay with Arthur C. Clarke, and the plot was inspired by short stories they optioned from Clarke. The Sentinel from 1951 and Encounter in the Dawn from 53. There we go. And here is the line you have selected. Open the pod bay doors, please. Hal? Okay, Charles, what's this got to do with motorcycles and AI? Go.
Well, so, I don't want to be on the outside of the AI world trying to get in and begging for a favor from something that may or may not like me, okay? Particularly if it's trying to kill me. So, that's a lot of what the AI is. It has its good side and its dark side. So, it's helping all of a sudden, and then I'm wondering how did I get outside and outside the tent, and how do I get back in? So that's the way that I view AI, much like fire at the beginning of our dawn of civilization. It has tremendous capabilities, a lot of positive things, but it also has this dark side. Wipes out entire cities. It's the only profession that that they have people specifically for fighting the fires. So that's one of the things that I see in the probably in a not too distant future, AI
Okay.
assassins and
Well,
fighters.
Well, that's something for your techno thrillers, and we just stay on the positive here. So we're going to talk about the good stuff today. Lisa, I'm going to your quote, and this is a classic from Dorothy Gale. A lot of people don't know her last name. It was Judy Garland, The Wizard of Oz, the original 1939 musical fantasy film. And according to the U.S. Library of Congress, Lisa, it is the most seen film in cinematic history. I watched a clip again based on L. Frank Baum's 1900 novel, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. There's a tongue twister. It was mostly directed by somebody named Victor Fleming, but Gone with the Wind was in trouble, so he left The Wizard of Oz to go over and produce. Yeah, well, he was talking about two of the best movies in ever. So there we go. So here is the quote you have selected. Toto, I've a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore. Lisa, where are we in terms of biking and technology? Talk to me.
Well, when Tom first said, "Hey, would you like to join this podcast with Bonnie and I love you?" So I said, "Sure, what's it on?" And he said, "AI and motorcycles." I asked him, "Are you sure that's the topic?" Because these are two things I never thought would intersect. But, if you look at, the technology industry, and as you so nicely shared, 30 years I've been here, we've seen a lot of these innovation curves come with the internet, with the dot-com era, with in-memory computing, and AI is no different, with the exception of it's happening so much faster. When you think about, AI was first introduced in the early 2000s, and maybe even earlier if you're looking at the MIT and labs and some of the other applications before it became commercial. There's art hanging in the Smithsonian that was created by AI uh, um, programs since 2002. But it's the hypercurve now it's everywhere. And Charles, I think to your point, I both love and hate it at the same time. I think we all remember that movie with I'll Be Back, the Terminator. And, if you're looking at it for good use and good applications, there's so many things that we can apply. And just looking at the motorcycle safety, imagine having AI assistance for new riders. I know me as a new rider would have loved someone telling me you're too close to the curb, or you're going too fast, or there's sand up ahead and your bike's going to spin out. Just lane distance and maintaining safety behaviors. So I think about how it's intersecting every facet of our life, and I choose to look at the positive aspects. And I think this is where we have to really be advocates, design and focus on the positive use cases of AI and applications, but know that there's boundaries, right? And so we want to be making sure we're making good business decisions to how we apply this technology. For motorcycle riding, there's so many areas, and I'm sure we'll get into it further, but these two things are now intertwined in everything that we're doing. When you think about the vehicle to grid, the agentic AI, I think there's just no limitations to what some of the technology companies are going to do. They're now becoming, not only do you manufacturing motorcycles, but you're a tech company now, you're a software company, you're an AI company. And so the boundaries are being blurred across industries and manufacturing. So, I look at companies like Honda and Harley who are adding so much technology to their motorcycles. I never want to have an autonomous motorcycle. I always want to be able to ride, but I'll take some of the safety features and other breakthroughs that they can provide to us so that we make the ride safer, that we make it longer, that we can go faster, and some of the other things that I think are important for us as riders.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you touched on so many aspects of what we're talking about today. Let's go to Dr. Bob, and Bob has picked a quote from Dr. Harry Wells, played by Tom Cavanaugh, the movie The Flash, superhero TV series on the CW from 2014 to 2023. That's quite a run. I won't read all of the background here, but it's based on the Barry Allen incarnation of DC Comics character, The Flash, the costumed superhero crime fighter with the power to move at superhumans. I'm trying to make a sound effect here, but superhuman speeds. It's a spinoff of Arrow, existing in the same fictional universe known as Arrowverse. The series premiered in the U.S. on October 7th, 2014, and ran for 9 seasons. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. And Dr. Harry Wells is a brilliant scientist from Earth-2 and a key ally to Team Flash, distinct from other Wells iterations like HR or Nash. I'm going to stop there. Here's the quote. Evolutionary leaps follow the creations of new technologies. Bob, give us a little bit on this, please.
Well, I think motorcycles, just like anything else in the world right now, are continually evolving. I mean, the technology evolves, people evolve, computers evolve. it's like a continuous improvement plan that no one knows the details about. But so I think that what happens is anytime you get new technology, and in the last few years, we started seeing more supercomputers. We started seeing more collaborations where multiple computers were hooked up to each other. We had a row of supercomputers linked together that found a simple blood test for dementia, in about 4 hours that humans have been researching for 4 years. So there are some pretty incredible things it does. And the way I link it to motorcycles is I think motorcycles are going to keep evolving. I mean, if you've watched any of the Musk shows or any of the other ones on there, you see motorcycles now that are one wheel or they're two wheels or they kind of float. Their wheels aren't actually on the ground. Or, electric motorcycles are continue to increase the sales. 13% last year increase, and that'll continue to go up probably, as range increases and those kinds of things. So, I think that it's going to keep that way. I have no idea what motorcycle is going to be like in 10 or 20 years. I don't think anyone can see out that far.
And we don't know what you're going to be riding in 10 or 20 years, Bob, with your collection, right?
It won't be a skateboard, I can tell you that.
There you go. Thank you all for the quotes. Let's do some predictions now. Charles, I have a dilemma here. You sent me 4 really fabulous predictions here. I'm just going to read the titles and I'm going to let you pick which one you want to talk about. Is that okay with you? I don't usually do that. So prediction 1, Charles says, AI-powered auto balancing at low speeds. That's 1. We can think about that. Number 2 is hyper-local weather alerting with AI forecasting. I think Lisa touched on some of these in what she was talking a few minutes ago. Number 3 is dynamic route or route optimization for motorcycles. I like that one. And number 4 is proximity awareness for repairs and fuel. Okay, so I hate to do this to you, but would you like to pick one? I like them all.
Sure. Yeah. Let's go with the AI-powered auto balancing at low speeds.
Okay, go ahead.
There's some of the dynamics of the motorcycle is that as you start to increase the speed, above 15, 20 miles an hour, 25, somewhere along that range, the gyroscopic stability of the unit becomes a great asset for you. I mean, wind will hit you and it'll just bounce you around, but it won't blow you over because the gyroscopic stability that you get. When you drop the speed down, the problem with it is it now becomes, worse center of gravity for you because you're going to have to use your legs to be able to hold the bike up or your upper muscle strength to be able to keep it and brake it. Stop, go to a stop sign and stop. What I can see is that if you had AI-enhanced capabilities to be able to maintain the gyroscopic stability at low speeds, you wouldn't have this problem of, hey, I need somebody to help me pick up my motorcycle because it fell over at the stop sign. If you're traveling with any distance like Bob, you've got a whole bunch of gear in there. You got your favorite back warmer, and you might have too much weight for you to be able to do it with your standard muscle power. So as the technology would evolve, the AI would say, okay, I would take a look at revolutions are slowing down, the gyroscopic stability from the natural events from the wheels are not giving me enough balance in the engine because it's idling too low. Let's kick this in and help hold the bike up using a gyroscopic augmentation to the bike so that it can stand by itself on 2 wheels with minimal effort on your part to be able to hold it up. That would help a lot of and this is the heartbreak deal because I've talked to a lot of riders that, they said, I'm too old to be able to ride 2 wheels. And it's sad. They say, and they'll fight that decision, go with 3 wheels. And for me, personal opinion, full transparency, 3 wheels is, it's like being, no, thank you. No, that's not a motorcycle anymore. I'm sorry. Yep. It's a fair statement for you, but no, I want 2 wheels. So I want to see that gyroscopic stability brought down to to make the 2 wheels viable for people that think that they're too old. and
Thank you.
approach
Good
it that way.
Good points. And thank you for all the technical observations in there. Bob or Lisa, briefly, any comments? Agree, disagree? Bob, you want to say something?
I agree with everything Charles said. And one thing I was just going to share that they have available right now, there's a maker out there that produces a set of drop-down wheels that are essentially training wheels for a motorcycle. They're a lot more sturdy because they can handle all the weight of it. But as the bike slows, they start to come down. And when you come to a complete stop, they actually come all the way down and touch the ground to keep the bike balanced so that the older, wider rider or whoever doesn't have to balance it themselves.
Interesting. Lisa, any thoughts on that?
I think if I told my husband I was going to put training wheels on his motorcycle, he would not have a positive reaction. But it's funny, as a new rider, you don't realize it's actually easier to control the bike when you're going faster. That was the hardest thing I had to learn because your natural instinct is to go slow, which makes the bike heavy, and if you don't have a lot of upper body strength, even a small bike is heavy. It takes a couple tries, and then you realize, wait a minute, this is getting easier as I actually pick up speed and momentum, but it's hard to explain. You did a wonderful job, Charles. That's not how the instructor explained it to me. He just said, Lisa, go faster. You're going too slow. His instructions were very simple, and I immediately responded, but it was against my natural inclination to want to just like hunker down and slow and tighten up. So
Yep.
Thank you, Charles. Great start to the predictions. Lisa, let's go to yours. I give you a choice. You sent me four. One is safety, one is recreational, one is maintenance, and one is technology enhancement. Which one would you like?
I'm going to continue the safety one because, again, as a newer
Okay.
rider, and I just moved to Florida, and there's a lot of crazy drivers down here. I think this is
Oh,
something
yeah?
that AI can help because when you think about the agentic AI capabilities to have situational awareness, to know that I am on a certain highway, there's a traffic situation, I've got an erratic driver behind me. You're always trying to anticipate, and my husband has taught me this, emphatically. You have to think for everyone that's on the road. You know what you're going to do. What's the car in front of you going to do? What's the truck next to you going to do? Space is your friend. So I think AI could really help us in these areas because it can anticipate if we're using it correctly, or the potential for it to have, the ability to look at agentic AI, where you're looking at where's the car position, what's the weather conditions, what's the next 10 miles of road look like, what time of the day is it, how long have you been on the bike, are you fatigued, are you dehydrated? There's a lot of different aspects of riding, as well as for a new rider who doesn't have good brake control, right? You don't want to jam your brakes on with ABS brakes. We love the technology. It's great to do a fast power stop if someone cuts you off. But if you do it incorrectly, you're going to go over the front of your bike. So I think this is where these gentle assistants could help a newer rider or even a senior rider be more aware of their circumstances, be more aware of the bike and the conditions that they're riding in, look at the proximity of the cars around them. I mean, my head's always on a swivel. Even though I have rear view mirrors, I always look behind me because I don't want to become someone's foot ornament. And I can't tell you how many times that has saved my life. I've actually called my instructor because I did take an additional safety course. I said, your things you taught me, although they seemed silly at the time, have probably saved my life more than once. Something falls off the back of a truck and now you've got a 2x4 in the middle of the highway and you're in 2 lanes of traffic and you can't just go into the next lane because there's another vehicle there. How do you prepare for that? Or, someone takes a left-hand turn from a right-hand lane and cuts across 3 lanes of traffic, which happens all the time. How do you anticipate that? Well, you've got to watch and constantly be looking. That's why I like riding, because you have to be present and in the moment. And I think AI can help you do that. I think when people lose focus and they turn their head for a minute, or they get caught up in too many gadgets and they're not looking at the road, that's where I think you start to have problems or havoc can happen. Nothing's 100% foolproof. Every time you get on the bike, you've got to remember it's a wonderful sport, but it's dangerous. So you have to be prepared. I think these additional safety features that AI could provide to riders around situation, weather, road conditions could really help improve the riding conditions and just make sure everybody makes it home safe. So those are some of the things I'm thinking about with AI.
Thank you. Quick comment, Bob or Charles? Anybody Charles, want to say something?
Yeah, Lisa, that was good. I mean, I firmly believe that a lot of my motorcycle riding over the decades has helped me be a better car driver as well. I mean,
Amen.
one of the things that I've noticed is like, used to positioning yourself with other vehicles. I'm always hypersensitive about being in somebody's blind spot. I'm like, back up or go, yeah, accelerate, get out of their blind spot, you dummy, because you're begging for a mistake.
Yep.
And so, having that situational awareness being fed to you with that 360 degrees view, because that's what you get when you get on a motorcycle. You don't have any blind. Typically, you don't have a window in the way, or this or that, and it's kind of scrunched. And I got too much stuff in the back. You can see everything. So it's a great tutorial for somebody who needs to drive a car better.
Thank you. Bob, thoughts on safety?
I think one of the things that I learned when I went to an advanced rider course, and I completely agree with Lisa, if you're going to ride, you should go through an MSF, Motorcycle Safety Foundation course. The basic one when you're starting, and later on, as you get more miles under, go to the advanced one. Because I'd been running a bike for years by then, and when I went to the advanced rider course, I ended up learning about counter steering, counterbalance, and all kinds of things that I really didn't understand all that well, so it was pretty valuable to go back and take that additional training. And, it helps you get over any fears. Like, they'll have bikes you can use where you practice going down and going down safely, and things like that, so that you can, get rid of any potential, worry that you have in your head. You can handle everything that happens, whether you have to go down or something else. I mean, I've been pretty lucky. I've been down 3 times on my bike. And the one I'll tell you real quick about was when I was 19, I was riding my Honda 750 into Lake Tahoe in California. And it was the weekend of Thanksgiving. It had snowed the week before. And I was holding cars up because I was only going about 20, 25 miles an hour since I knew the roads might be a little slick. So I saw an island coming up. I pulled over into the island. Of course, that's where Caltrans had pushed all the snow the weekend before.
Oh,
So it was all black ice. So I hit that and whoop, down I went right into the guardrail. But you talk about how, whatever is looking out for you. So 3 cars back when I went down was a nurse that worked at the local community hospital.
lucky.
She saw what happened, got out, stopped her car, got out somehow, and she's like, I don't know, 5'1", maybe 100 pounds. Somehow she gets me into her car. I don't even remember how she did it, but she does. Gets me into her car, drives me to the hospital, gets me treated, and all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah. So much
but,
for
Lisa
safety.
talked earlier, and I can't stress it enough. You got to wear the right gear.
Yep.
I never get on my bike without gloves, helmet, leathers, or some kind of riding things, elbow pads in my jacket and all that kind of stuff. And you got to be fully equipped with your safety stuff, because if you go down, that's what's going to help.
I have to tell
Absolutely.
everybody.
Absolutely.
Charles, go ahead.
Yeah,
you agree.
absolutely. I mean, I use my my rhinoceros hide clothing to make sure that if I fall down, I'm going to be impervious to the road rash.
Well, that's one way of putting it. This is a new look for Bob. Bob has been on my show about AI in education and AI in business and so many shows over the years. And Bob, this is a new look. Maybe you'll have to come back and always do that. We have a couple minutes left for a prediction from Bob. Bob, you've already covered the idea of airbags with motorcycles, but I'm going to go to 2 more here. These are very interesting. One, you say electric motorcycles will increase 10% as the U.S. installs more charging stations. You want to take us quickly through that one? We only have a few minutes. Go.
Well, I'll actually go a step further. I think that eventually, between AI and the technology path that we're on, we'll be able to carry self-charging things with us on our bikes.
What?
Yeah. There'll be
How?
some device that we'll carry that'll have the battery power equivalent to a day's worth of charging or whatever, and you'll just plug it in and it'll charge your battery up and off you go.
Off you
But
go.
yeah, I think that what's going to happen is I don't necessarily like electric bikes, but to each their own, right? I've ridden a couple of the Harley electric bike. There's many others, Victory, they all have electric motorcycles. The value, of course, is that you don't have to have it stop for gas and all that. They're much faster, much quicker. But I think it's either going to take an individual charging solution that you can carry or more charging stations actually built around the country. Because one of the things that I don't understand is, like in California where I live, we passed a mandate many years ago that by 2035, we were supposed to no longer sell gasoline powered vehicles. It's supposed to all be clean energy. Well, okay. How come we haven't for years been building more charging stations? How come we haven't built more smart roadways that cars and motorcycles can read, and get data from as they go down the road and things like that? So
there's the rub. I want to ask, thank you, Bob. I want to ask Charles and Lisa briefly, thoughts about an electric motorcycle. Charles, have you?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah. No.
We got three votes for no. Okay. Lisa, what about you?
My husband will only
Lisa, louder. We can't hear you. A little lean in.
My husband would only have a petro vehicle in our house, Charles. So you're you're speaking his language, but I see it's coming. It's inevitable. You've got vehicles, you've got motorcycles. I think there's a place in the market for them. Perhaps not for me, but for others. But the infrastructure is something that is a big deterrent because, one, it's expensive.
Yep.
Two, who owns the cost of the maintenance of installing these things? And then there's a perfectly good use case today. When you go to the pump, you swipe your card and you fill up your tank or your bike or whatever. And if you look at your receipt, you see all the taxes that get associated with that. That's probably one of the biggest challenges, is what happens to all that revenue and who gets the money. So that's your next podcast conversation about charging infrastructure obstacles and why we haven't been, more progressive.
Lisa, bring me a panel. You're on. Bring me a panel. I'll book you for May or June. You're ready. And we barely have time here, but Bob, I want to read your prediction number 4. And I think we're just going to smile at this one. I don't have a lot of time to discuss it. Bob says, in the near future, the machines we call computers today will be available as precise motorcycle riding experiences featuring wind in your face, the smell of what you are passing by. You already talked about bread and other things, the controls to operate the motorcycle like you are on it, and more. Bob, 2 sentences and then we got to go. What is this?
Well, given the nature of virtual reality goggles and the confluence with AI and the way the technology is going, it's just a matter of time before someone can create, much like a gaming platform today, but it'll be for motorcycle riding. You'll be able to ride wherever you want to, put your goggles on or whatever. You'll get the wind, you'll get the smells, you'll get everything, and you'll practice essentially, going to where you want to go to.
Thank you. I want to go around the table. 1 sentence. What's your favorite thing about, Charles, in your case, Swan? What's your favorite thing about riding? Charles, go, and then Lisa, 1 sentence each, and then we're going to go.
I'm going to echo what Bob said. The smells. You get to smell the landscape. And I was on a motorcycle on Saturday. I got to smell wild onions while I was driving.
Oh, nice.
You don't get that in the car.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Lisa, your favorite part about riding?
I love the wind therapy and being in my own head. Right? It's just me. It's just the bike. It's just, I don't even want music. I know it sounds crazy. I just love being present, and it's the one thing I do that's just for me. So it's that kind of that solo wind therapy, which I think is priceless.
Thank you. Bob, favorite part?
You meet the nicest people on a motorcycle.
That's nice.
Amen. That's true.
I've never been on a motorcycle. I've owned some sports cars, but I can liken a little bit of what you said. Don't be mad at me, everybody. But when I was a Motown drummer, red boots, I still have the kit, red sticks, and I could drum to something like Charles. I was telling Charles about this the other day. Ray Charles, so much Ray Charles. What I say, and stand up and feel that, Lisa, being in your own headspace and that freedom and just banging away, standing up, and everything leaves. I understand that euphoria, that feeling, and I appreciate the 3 of you coming on and sharing. I didn't mean to denigrate what you said about motorcycles, but that's my closest share. We won't go into the other experiences. I want to thank the 3 of you. If you'd like to come back later in the year and do more slides, I'm happy to make another deck and talk more, maybe summer riding or fall riding. We could do a seasonal. I'll ask you all later. I'll send you a poll. So let's go out with the music from my brand new show, Say What? And here, let's see if we get this to play. There we go. Join me. Lisa, this is my weekday morning 4-minute show. 2 good news items and some shout outs. You'll be in it tomorrow. There we go. Raise something. Bob, where's your mug? Decaf, please. In my cup. Thank you, Lisa. I've had enough. Same old drama. Same old feed. Flip that dial. That's what I need. Turn it up. Let those bad vibes fade. Hit play. Good news. We talk it out. We lift that mood. You're all good people. Thank you so much for joining me today. Had a blast. Hope you did too.
Thanks, Bonnie.
My pleasure. Wave good.